So with 82 days left until the election, will this brand new team be able to turn things around? Joining me now, Ford O'Connell, Kathy Taylor, and Gina Loudon. Ford, let me go to you on this news. Before we get to the campaign news, guys, this is breaking news, and we've got some military experts coming a little bit later, but I think this is going to be the biggest headline in the news tomorrow morning. Ford, your quick thoughts now that there's even more evidence that this was indeed the kind of quid pro quo that means it was ransom and not a coincidence.
Well, the Obama administration has been downplaying this, the entire time. It was a very simple question. If you gave this money, were we going to get the hostages back? I think that a lot more than the American people should be concerned about how the Obama administration has been handling foreign affairs, particularly in our relationship with Iran. And the problem is Iran has taken several more hostages and still broken the aspects of the Iranian nuclear treaty deal. So, frankly, the U.S. has gotten hosed all around. The question is whether or not the American voter is going to care.
Gina Loudon in studio. Great to have you here.
Hey, good to be here.
Okay, I know this news has kind of just sprung up on you, but listen, let's face it, I think almost everyone believed it was ransom to begin with, but now that there's more and more evidence of it, listen, the administration is going to deny this, but it gets back to the notion that if you are willing to pay this much money, essentially $100 million per hostage, why does that not put a target on everyone else's back?
Oh, it absolutely does, as do so many things that this administration has done. I mean, you just look at the whole Gitmo news recently and you think how many of our people put their lives in harm's way for the people that Obama just wants to turn free. How many times is this administration going to run over the lives of Americans before they quit feeling sorry for the people that are victimizing actual Americans? That's exactly where we are in our history, and I'm with him. I hope that America's paying attention.
All right, we got a couple. Carl Higbee and others are going to come out later. So let me just shift back to the big news today, of course, the Trump campaign shakeup. Kathy, what do you make of it?
Well, hopefully for Trump, third time is the charm. You can't win an election by running against someone else. You've got to run on what you stand for. And if you believe in that, then you should let Trump be Trump. And this is probably a reasonable strategy. Trump has been beloved by those who support him because of his disruptor status. But there is a difference between disruptor and volatility. The only people who really like volatility are Mother Nature and financial market traders. Yeah. And so he needs to walk that balance and make that distinction. If he's going to go back to being Trump, he needs to do it as Trump the disruptor, not Trump Mr. Volatility. You
know, guys, I interviewed Kellyanne earlier today, and one thing I thought was interesting with her hire, one of her first bosses was Jack Kemp. Jack Kemp, in my mind, was way ahead of the curve with respect to Republicans, and I wish they kind of picked up what he was trying to lay down. But I think that speech last night that Donald Trump gave had the influences of a Jack Kemp, maybe Kellyanne Conway. Also, most people don't know her company, polling company, has a division called Women Trends.
Right.
They help corporate America reach out to women, Gina. Maybe it's a tacit admission that they need help with non-white voters and women voters, and if so, this was the ideal hire.
Yeah, this is the ideal hire to the people who want an outsider who, by the way, shows his true character as loyal as he is to people that he knows. But you see, here we go again. The GOP establishment is going to make a huge deal out of this, and the establishment in general, Charles, because this isn't the way politics is done. Politics is done where you hire the same consultants over and over again, whether they win or lose, because they make the big bucks. Bringing in people like Conway and Bannon says that Trump is still being loyal. He's still doing things his way. He's, by the way, leading. And he's still being an outsider, and I think a lot of people are counting on him for that.
Although for the establishment not thrilled with Steve Bannon for sure, we heard something from a spokesperson for Paul Ryan and others, and listen, apparently what I'm hearing is that he wants to go in there, be bare knuckles, and he wants Donald Trump to get back to what got him there in the first place, being himself, being abrasive, and he wants him in Hillary Clinton's face.
Well, Steve Bannon's job is absolutely very different than Kellyanne Conway's. Kellyanne Conway's to keep Trump on message and make inroads with those affluent white voters. Steve Bannon's job is going to be to keep the populist grassroots fired up. He's a master on social media, and his other job is going to be to go after Hillary Rodham Clinton in a very strategic way, in a way that the Trump campaign has not done. I'm sure that his tactics are going to cause heartburn for the establishment, but guess what? I'm tired of pacifying the Beltway whiners. Hopefully Donald Trump can go out there and win this election.
You know, it's interesting, though. Now Donald Trump has two ex-Goldman people with very high roles, in his campaign, and he's campaigning a little bit against Wall Street. But more than that, Kathy, what happens if Bannon and Kellyanne Conway clash? I did ask if she had veto authority, okay? I think she does, but just what if it does happen? Because we've seen it happen before. Manafort didn't really get along with Corey, and something has gone wrong, obviously, in the last 30 days. Because we had the Manafort bounce, But as that started to drift, I think Donald Trump doing the smart thing that a businessman would do made some changes.
Yeah, I think Kellyanne is one shrewd, smart, tough cookie. She knows how to handle herself, and I think that influence will be very valuable within the campaign. You can't give up every time it gets tough and someone clashes, and they're going to have to be able to work through these conflicts. She's the ideal person from that standpoint to be able to do this. You know, Gina mentioned women, and you mentioned women. They've talked more about women with regard to the Olympics and how commentators treat them than either campaign has. There's a real opportunity here. There's only a few weeks left. She's really, from that standpoint, a very, very fine person to do that.
This is what she told me, Gina. She said they're going to stay on message. You're going to see Donald Trump out there with the kind of the discipline we've seen in the last 48 hours, telling that kind of message over and over again. And now they got these ad buys. A lot of folks are wondering where the hell they've been. Well, they've got them coming Friday, right? In battleground states, Florida, Ohio, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, a couple of these states, the numbers lately have been shocking. Virginia, the numbers keep coming out. They're really shocking. So they are behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever been a question that Donald Trump knows how to surround himself with the right people at the right time. And those aren't always the same people, by the way. And so making changes along the way as the campaign grows and matures and becomes what it is in perfect timing and to peak at the right time, Charles, we know that's really important in a campaign as well. I think that's what we're all witnessing here. And I think you're going to see some good things.
Ford, do you like what you see over the last couple of days with Donald Trump?
I absolutely do. And let's understand, you and I have had this discussion before, Charles. Here's the conundrum for the Trump campaign, particularly whether it's in Pennsylvania, whether we're talking about North Carolina, Florida, or Ohio. How do I max out and make inroads with the affluent suburban white voter, particularly married women with a college education, while still jazzing up the grassroots and making the case that Hillary Rodham Clinton is not fit to be president? That's the steps I see the Trump campaign taking. And the question is whether or not they're going to be able to pick up the ball and run with it over the next 82 days.
Again, guys, Kellyanne Conway, this women trends. Her customers include Coke, Procter & Gamble, Kraft, General Motors, Avon. These are major Fortune 500 companies that are coming to her saying, how do we articulate a message to women in America? So we get right back full circle to this probably was an ideal hire at the ideal time.
Look, the women vote has been ignored in this campaign. I just wrote a book about it coming out in a few weeks because no one is speaking with women. No one's even speaking to them bad enough, but let's actually speak with them. There's a huge opportunity. It's not too late. But when you look at the values that are important to today's women, personal accountability, financial independence, strength, diplomacy, it's conservative Republican values that best support them. Trump has a tremendous opportunity. Kellyanne can help him. Let's see if he delivers on it.
Gina, so what kind of Donald Trump do you think we'll see from here on out? The way Kellyanne said it to me, it feels like on message, prompter, but with the ability to ad-lib here and there. That kind of, so you got the spark that people like in those live events, those big, huge live events, but also the sort of discipline that may not take them off track and disappoint independent voters.
I think that's perfectly great. I loved his messaging in his last speech. I thought it was amazing. I can see him reaching out to the non-traditional voters, reaching out to people that the establishment will say Republicans can never get, or that Republicans have to compromise their values to get. I think that he will prove that's not true. And I completely agree with Kathy. I wrote a book about women too, and so has Kellyanne many times. And I think that when you look at him now as the Olympics wind up, Charles, and people are really starting to take a look at what's happening in 82 days, I think that people are going to find out that what women do really want are economic security, national security, constitutional soundness. Those are the messages he's going to take forward,
right.
And I think it'll be strong.
Yeah, big news, major news, and I think everyone agrees great moves as well. Thank you all very, very much. We've got two authors.